the monk mentality and why it's important, I think, that we start to push ourselves more towards having a Zen state of mind, so to speak. Being calm, basically. Being calm in stressful situations. The problem with being angry all the time is that you're feeding into the system by releasing negative energy. When you release negative energy, you're feeding into the system because it's based on negative energy. So every time you get angry, you're releasing energy that goes to feed all the other negative things that are going on. So anger is a very potent thing, you know. Everything here has to do with energy, and emotions are a way of energy. So you have to be able to understand that your emotions are a way, it's like a gauge and of different settings or whatever, and either way that you swing that pendulum, you're going to get a different result. If you're angry, you're more inclined to get into an accident or do something that you probably wouldn't expect to do because your emotional state of energy is in a different place. So, you see, you have to understand something, that the world is full of negatives. It's full of negative energy. There's negative stuff going on here all the time. Killing, crime, war, all this stuff. That's just how this is. But if you're angry, you're working with it. You're allowing it to gain its power by being angry. You're going to have much more of a stressful life if you're constantly angry about everything. You have to be able to be cool, calm, and collected in difficult and stressful situations because the nature of how this place works here is that there's nothing good here. Nothing good happens here. People do good things, but as an overall whole, there's nothing good that comes out of this place. So, because it's all strictly negative stuff going on here, you have to be able to be cool, calm, and collected. Because if you got angry and upset and emotionally stirred up every single time something happened, you'd be insane. And a lot of people still allow that to happen. And that's why the news organizations and outlets are able to get people so stirred up, is because they allow their emotions to run free without any kind of check. You have to learn how to control those emotions in the right situation. You know, being angry all the time is not a productive thing. You have to be able to be emotionless, but be able to act emotion when necessary. In daily life, it's monotonous. You come and you go, you get up, you go to bed, you go to work, you pay your taxes, you have to do all these things that are very annoying and piss you off and cause a lot of distress. If you're not able to turn off those emotions that cause that every now and then you're going to go insane. Because you can't maintain that state of high energy all the time. It will burn you out. It will burn you out. And most people quit certain things because it causes them to get angry. You have to be able to control your emotions. You have to be able to be in a monk state of mind, where with all this chaos going around, you still are able to stay centered and focused while everything else is going crazy. If you can do that, if you can work towards just being calm, you're going to have a much easier time getting through stressful situations. Whether it be work, whether it be life stress, whatever the case is, you're going to be able to deal with it better than the rest of the general public is going to be able to deal with it, because the general public and most people do not have their emotions in check. They don't know how to control their emotions. That's why a lot of behavior is a side effect of emotion. It's emotionally controlled. Your emotions will usually end up dictating your actions. So if you can control your emotions, you can control your actions. They both work hand in hand. If you're able to do that, you're going to be able to think clearly. You're going to be able to be in a position that is going to allow you to make decisions and strategies that somebody who doesn't have their emotions in check are not going to be able to do, because their emotions are going to be controlling their actions and their thoughts, which end up triggering their reactions. and their actions. So being in the monk state of mind is important. It takes a while to learn how to discipline yourself to get into a calm state of mind. It takes practice because most people don't do that. Most people are not able to have the discipline to control those things because they're so used to it, and their whole life they have been emotionally led around. This is why the news puts out graphic stuff and horror and terrible stories 99% of the time. There's no good news. No news is good news. No news is good news. All the news that you see on the mainstream media is nothing but negativity. I have never in the last 5 years of my life have heard a bit of good news ever come out of any of the news channels. Why? Because their objective is to get you to be emotionally negatively reacting to what they're putting out, because it releases energy which feeds into the system. Because then they can manipulate you that way, okay? That's why you can't let your emotions get the best of you in difficult situations. And a lot of people are not able to do that because it's hard for them to be able to sit back while chaos is happening and sit there and be calm. It takes training, it takes practice. So if you're able to do that, you're going to have a much easier ability to figure out what to do about certain things, about how to get over certain kind of obstacles, and how to deal with day-to-day mundane existence. You know, this whole red pill rage thing it has to go. You know, I get it when you're angry for a while, but you can't let that happen all the time. It'll drive you crazy, and you'll end up making more mistakes in the long run because you don't have your emotions in check. This whole stuff on YouTube where people make response videos and all this other stuff is just, it's just feeding into the system, and it's just how the thing keeps going back and forth. Like I said, it all has to do with energy, because a positive is a negative. So the negative is just, it's feeding back and forth. It's arcing, which is what this whole, if you want to look at it from the occult perspective, the negative energy and all this other stuff that has to do with that, and why the news puts out what they do, is because it releases energy into the system. That's how this works. That's why it's pointless to get mad at people who don't get it. It's pointless. You're just making yourself that much more frustrated. And so there's no point of getting angry or upset with people who say bad things to you or say something bad. There's no point in that. See, here's the other thing. You don't have time to be angry anymore. You just don't. There's no time to be angry. Angry and negative stuff will always exist as long as we are here, and how things work here in America and on Earth. It will never stop, so you will be caught up into the system of allowing it to control you, thinking that if you're angry in return and you fight back, that something positive will come out of it, when in reality you're just making it stronger, you see? So getting upset with people is pointless. It's frivolous. It's only going to take you so far before you burn yourself out, which is the objective. That you fold first and they get to keep going on, you see? It's a compromise. They want you to be completely out of control with yourself so that they can come in and manipulate that. So there's no point in being angry anymore. It's past that time. There's no time for that anymore. There's no time to be angry anymore. We have way too much work to do. Improving ourselves and you know, getting and maybe having a bigger purpose in life besides just being on YouTube talking trash to everybody. There's just no point in that. You know, we have a very limited time here, and anything can happen. People get into accidents all the time. Things happen, accidents happen, and things happen that shouldn't have happened. And if you're going to spend your whole life getting caught up in being angry with other people because they don't understand what you're trying to tell them, or they don't want to listen, or they're saying negative things, forget about it. Let them get caught up in their own mess, because that's exactly what they're doing to themselves, is they're just getting themselves caught into a web even further. So being able to have a calm state of mind while all this chaos goes around us on a daily basis is important. It's going to preserve your sanity, and it's going to help you deal and how to make decisions. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. I think it's important that we start to have a, if you want to take whether it be Mgtow or just improving your life to the next level, you have to be able to implement learning how to be calm. Learning how to work under stressful situations. It's important. I see a lot of people let their anger overcome them, and what ends up happening most of the time is that they end up realizing, well, gee, I'm in a worse position off than I was before, but it did all the right things. There's other sides of how somebody's behavior acts and how people end up allowing their behavior to control them, and it has to do with how you use your emotions and not letting yourself be emotionally run around. Whenever I see negative stuff on the news, oh, a child was killed, I don't care. I just don't care because, number one, I know how the news works. That's one story of it. But the other side of it is I know that it's just for your reaction. Everything is just for your reaction because, that it's all about getting everybody upset and riled up. So whether you're just finding out about women or the feminist agenda, look, don't let women affect your emotions to the point where you're so pissed that you're willing to do whatever it takes for you to stop such a bad thing, because then you're manipulating. You're being manipulated because it's already being set up against you. So there's no point in being angry about it. Just realize what's going on, make the correct decision, and move on. That's all you can do, and that's all you need to do. There's no need for any more anger or all this stuff. I understand it's a human emotion, but you have to be able to control those human emotions sometimes. Because everything here is designed for you not to be able to control yourself. Everything is designed for you to completely lose control, because when you lose control, you don't have control. And when you don't have control of yourself, you can be manipulated, and you're weak. Emotionally, physically. Have you ever been angry all the time? People get tired because it takes energy. You burn energy being angry all the time, or being stressed all the time. You just have to learn not to give a fuck anymore. That's what you have to do. Just stop caring about all of the useless, mundane dribble drabble. That's really how you have to conduct yourself. You just have to learn not to give a shit about what other people think. And do the best that you can. Realize what's going on, make the decision, and leave it at that. And that's what everybody has to do. Keep yourself in your own lane. Let other people deal with themselves in their lane. I do understand that, when you're, if you're keeping yourself in your lane, but the other person's not keeping themselves in their lane, and then they can hit you. I get that. But if you keep yourself in your lane, you have a much more control over the situation than other people who don't. These are just analogies that I like to use because, being angry and stressed all the time is like an out of control driver on the street. They don't have themselves in their lane. When you got your shit together and you're doing what you can and you realize what's going on in your environment, in your area, and how you can use that to improve yourself, you got your shit together, and that's the best you can do. Don't worry about other people. Don't worry about other people. Other people are going to do whatever the fuck they want if they're not in control of themselves. And they're wild cannons on the loose, which triggers anger and frustration in people and a whole bunch of other myriad of other things. So the whole lesson of the story today is to basically get you to be in a more calm monk state of mind. You have to be able to just let your emotions go. And I don't mean out of control, I mean control them. Don't let yourself get emotionally reactive to absolutely everything. If somebody makes a video on YouTube, or if somebody says something bad about you in the comment section, or whatever the hell you're doing, just ignore it. Just ignore it. That whole saying, don't feed the trolls. It's because you're feeding that energy. You're feeding the system negative energy when you react negatively. You're just making yourself a much worse situation than the other person who didn't react. Exerting energy, making yourself stressed and tired, which makes yourself sick because somebody said something. You see how the manipulation works? Leave your emotions out of it. Live your life in a calm way. And you're going to have a much better off existence. You're going to be able to deal with stressful situations much easier than the person who doesn't have themselves in their lane. Like I said, it takes discipline to be able to get into a kind of a monk mind. You have to be able to not let things affect you. You have to be able to live your life independently from allowing other people to say or motivate you to live a certain way. You have to be able to keep yourself in your lane. You have to be able to make your own decisions, whether or not they're popular with friends or family or not. In the end, you're in charge of your life. You're in charge of how you're going to exist, how you're going to make your money, what kind of job you're going to have, where you're going to live, what you're going to buy. That's your decision in the end. And you're the only person that can make that decision. People will try to motivate you to make certain decisions in life, but almost none of those decisions are ever going to be good for you. So you have to be able to operate solo. You have to be able to operate away from what everybody else is doing. You have to be a lone wolf. And you also have to be able to blend in. You have to be able to be in control of yourself at all times. You know, you have to be able to go against the grain, and sometimes you have to be able to go with the grain. The whole point is you have to know which decision to make at what point. And the way that you do that is being calm, because one side or the other, when the pendulum swings, whether it's to the left or to the right, if you're not in the center, you know, it's like you hit the golf ball too far the other way, then you have to hit it 3 times harder to get it back onto the right track. You see what I'm saying? So if you can keep yourself centered and don't let emotions pull you one way or the other way, and you keep yourself centered, you're able to not let influence, negativity, or any of those other things affect how your quality of life is going to be. Anyways, that's all I had to say today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a good one. So I wanted to continue on the whole subject of why we shouldn't waste our time being angry, because it's negativity. The system that we live under, the slavery system, is based on negativity. So you're just feeding it every time you get angry, because people are manipulated when they get angry. This is why, you know, the news pushes so much negativity, and they try to get people stirred up and riled up to get angry so that they actually go out and riot. And when they riot, they get arrested. And then they implements the excuse for institutions to come in and gauge people because they're out of control. And so being angry is they're doing it just to piss you off, so that you can then get even in more trouble, you see. And so I wanted to touch upon that. Let them destroy themselves. If you make bad life decisions, if you screw people over all the time, at some point you're going to get a hard dealing with, because people might not catch you, but I believe that there are higher forces that will. Okay? And so the bottom line is, this is why you shouldn't waste your time getting upset with women or how the government works or any of this stuff. It's a natural reaction for us to get mad. And like I've said before, I think a lot of the revenge mentality and why guys have so much revenge against women is because there's no justice that is being done. There's no justice. We keep seeing them get away with everything, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. And so guys get really upset, and they want to see something get done about it, because it isn't stopping, and we see that it's causing and it's hurting things, and it's causing more problems than it is good. And so we want to see that eliminated. We want to see that fixed. And so guys have revenge, and they want to see people that are doing wrong pay for what they've done. But I'm here to tell you that life will deal them a much harder reality check than we could ever deal with them. Because let's just take women, for example, because this has to do with Mgtow. Women on online dating scenes and your modern day women today, they're on more antipsychotics and antidepressants, and they're miserable more than ever. They're more unhappy than ever. You know, and it's because they're going against the natural grain of what their role should be. And as long as they keep doing that, they're going to be miserable, and they're only going to keep getting more miserable every single day. You see, we're on a downward spiral as a mankind, so to speak. There's so many problems, there's so much damage that has been done, there's so much cancer everywhere, that it's infected everything, and so these people, they want to diddly-daddly around and, act like they're invincible and that nothing ever bad could happen to them. Life will deal them their due. And so just let life take its course. Let them continue to keep believing in that mentality. You know what? Let them get the useless college degrees. Let them get the useless college degrees. Let them believe in the false rape culture, because we know that all that is bullshit. But when they believe in the false rape culture, they just make themselves paranoid and miserable, and they can't trust anybody, at least on the opposite sex, but because of this belief system that they have, that all men are rapists and the feminism, all it's going to do is alienate themselves from anybody sane, which are the kind of people you want to be around. You don't want to be around a bunch of insane, maniacal, narcissistic women. Those are you wouldn't want to be caught dead with any of those people. But when they buy into this stuff, when they're buying into believing in all this ideology that is nothing but pure destruction at its very root, they will mess up and screw up their life. And so you don't need to really do anything. They will destroy themselves. Yes, it affects us too. It affects us very negatively. But the bottom line is that because they've decided to believe into this, they will live a miserable life. Like I've said, if you make bad life decisions, you're not going to have a very good quality of life. I've run into people before who just make terrible life decisions, and when you try to help them out, they get defensive. All right, because they don't want to change. They like the way that it is. They like their misery. They've gotten used to their misery. People are used to being miserable. They're used to constantly have to worry about every little bitty thing and not make any kind of discipline or actions that would make them more uncomfortable, but it would give them a better quality of life. And because of that, people live in misery, and they'll never have a very good quality of life because of those choices that they make. Here's the other thing. When you going Mgtow, when you go Mgtow, yes, it's difficult for young guys because they want to get laid. It's a natural biological function. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's perfectly natural. But when you realize the reality of the situation that we're in, and you say, okay, women are completely out of their minds, and they're saying all this bad stuff about us, the bottom line is that if you can realize what's going on, you're going to have a better quality of life than they ever will have. As they're diddly-daddling around on their reality shows, and they're playing on their phones and on Facebook and Instagram, and they're believing in the feminism, and they're making videos about it, and whatever else, as long as they keep doing that, they're going to make terrible life decisions, and they're going to have a terrible quality of life. They will never really be happy. I'm not saying that, not very many people are happy. You're not supposed to be happy with the current situation that we're in. But they're going to be miserable because of the quality of life that they're going to live. So while they're out diddly-daddling, you're getting your shit together. You guys in the Mgtow community here, and including myself and everybody that has made content, we're so far ahead of most people because of what we've decided to come to reality of the situation. And because of that, we're going to have a little bit better quality of life than the rest of those people are. Because we're not going to get caught up in all of the useless, ridiculous stuff that they're imparting, and they're believing in this ideology of feminism and how they treat men. We're going to have a better quality of life because we're not going to fall into those traps. We've taken the time, we've gone through the psychological ups and downs constantly to get to a point where we're stable and we're able to look at things and go, all right, there's a landmine there, there's another landmine over there, this is how we need to navigate it. The other people are just going to run straight into the field of landmines and they're going to get blown up because they're not willing to take a step back, look at what's going on around them, and take their time and be careful, so to speak. So we're going to have a little bit better quality of life than the majority of people who are not willing to take that effort and to really dive into our own psyche, to figure out what makes us tick, to figure out what pisses us off, what makes us happy, what we get satisfaction from, and take all those things and apply it to our life and move forward. So don't get caught up in all of this dribble drabble that everybody gets caught up into, and they get pissed off, and everybody gets all upset because of what one person said or what another person said. Just don't let it bother you. Don't let it bother you, because in the end, like I said, life will deal them their due. By letting them sit back and continue to believe in this stuff, they will destroy themselves, like I did in my video. I don't want to see destruction of people. That's why I make videos. That's why I speak out against this, because I don't agree with it one bit. But people, if they don't want to listen, if they don't want to understand the situation that we're in, there's nothing else that you can do about it. There's nothing else you can do for them because they don't want to listen. And so it's pointless and frivolous to get yourself all worked up and get yourself pissed off over women today and all this other stuff. Just let them be. We will go down our path. We will continue to go down our path as Mgtow. We will improve our life. We will save up our money. And we will research, we will continue to keep studying what landmines are popping up, what things we need to avoid, and we will go down our road, and that's it. That's it. There's no point in trying to get all worked up over useless stuff. And so, that like I said, we will have a better quality of life because, we've taken a reality check of the situation. We've had our own personal experiences that have led us to this point to go Mgtow, and we have come to those terms. We've come to the realization of what's going on around us. We've all been there before. We've all been so pissed at women. Like I said, there's nothing. I'm pretty sure a lot of guys, there's nothing more than they would want to see women's justice being done. Justice being done against women because of the things that they've done. But that justice is being done because, number one, they're miserable. They're believing in an ideology that will destroy their future, destroy their life, destroy their friends, or any remnants of people that are sane and that want to have a good kind of quality of life as long as they're here. They will destroy that. They will destroy themselves because of that, of what they've wanted to believe in. We've tried to help them. We've spoken out against it for a long time now, and that's about the best you can do, is to speak out against it. And the very few people that are trying to find answers, that are trying to figure out, the young guys out there are wondering why they're going through so much turmoil with modern day women today. We'll be able to help them out because we'll provide them with that information. And so the point is that, just let them be. They have already worked themselves and dug a hole, dug their own grave, so to speak, so far that by shouting from the top down into the hole that they're digging, they can't hear us. They've already completely blocked out any other thing. They don't want to listen. They don't care. So let them not care. Let them not listen. Let them get the useless college degrees and let women keep buying into feminism, because it's a self-destructive ideology. And as we've seen today, it has destroyed any remnants of modern day women. They think they're having a good time with it. They think that as things are right now, things are going well for them because the institutions are allowing it and it's being promoted. But at some point in time, it isn't going to be fun for them anymore, because by the time they've destroyed all the men that has been left around, and like continuing Mgtow, men are going their own way, you know, we're walking away, and there's not going to be anybody there for them when they're really going to need it, because they pissed it all away on wanting to be holier than thou, wanting to think that they are trying to overthrow man in the position that has been set for us of the natural order of things. They're messing up with Mother Nature, so to speak. They're messing up the natural order of things, and I can tell you right now, justice is going to be done. You know, they're not going to have a very good time once everything really goes to shit. And so, if they want to keep going down this road, say, alright, see you later, and we're going to go down the other road, because we're going to take a reality check and we're going to live in reality. We're not going to diddly-daddly around and think that we're going to be fine when we know that when we believe in something that isn't rational, that doesn't make sense, that we can't do that. I guess that's just one of the things that us as guys do. We have a much more rational, clear thinking, we think things out, and we're smarter in making decisions about things like that. And so that's the whole thing of the video today. You know, just like I said, just don't get all worked up over people. Just let them be. There's nothing really you can do about it anyway if they don't want to listen. And so there's no point in getting all frustrated and worked up, because then those people just have a reason to poke at the bear even more, you know, just to see what happens. And so part of this, again, has to do with the monk mentality. It's being able to be calm, cool, and collected under chaos. And most people can't do that, you know, because it requires discipline. It takes effort. It's not something that you can just do unless you've disciplined yourself, and gotten, you know, just sick and tired of always having to fight people on reality and the truth. You know, trying to tell people, look, what you're doing is going to screw your life up, and they don't want to listen. And then you just get more frustrated. You know, there's no point. There's no point if they don't want to listen. So that's the whole thing I wanted to say today. Again, tying into the monk mentality. Be cool, calm, and collected. Think about what you say. Think about what you're doing. Whenever you see this, don't get upset. I understand that it's a natural emotion because it's a wrong thing to do. But they will ultimately ruin their life because of what they've decided to go along with. They will ruin their life. They're miserable now. And we're walking away. We're done. We're hanging it up. We're not going back. Forget about it. And if that's just how, you know what, if you want to look at it like justice being done, I don't see any other unfortunate thing than to have the men who build society and who defend and care about what happens here walk away from the very thing that they tried to protect. You know, like I said, they're going to get what's coming to them at some point in time. In many ways, they're already kind of getting it because, like I said, they're miserable. But they're really going to get it when shit really gets crazy and things, in terms of society or whatever, the screws get tightened down more, and things start to happen more crazily, if that's the right word, more crazy than ever before. We're not going to be there to say what you need to do. We're not going to be there to instruct them on how to get through it, because they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to listen to what we had to say. They didn't want to listen to what we had to say with feminism and how destructive it is. They didn't want to listen. So just let them keep doing it. Let them keep getting the useless degrees. And while they're doing that, we're going to continue to keep going down our path as Mgtow. We're gonna keep building our life. We're gonna keep improving it. At this point, if you're a Mgtow, you've fully taken the red pill, so to speak, and you fully realize what's going on, you're set and ready to go. You just have to keep going. Everything's already set in place. You've already realized it, and you're done. That's it. You're ready to go. You're not going to fall into the pitfalls. You're not going to get all caught up in all the drama that they're trying to push today. You know, you're going to have a much better quality of life. Honestly, for me personally, I have a much better quality of life than it was before dealing with them, because every time I've dealt with any woman, all it ever brought me was misery, and it was a giant pain in the ass and a headache. It caused me nothing but complete misery all the time, you know? And so I no longer have to deal with that anymore. I don't have to put up with that anymore. You know, we're not going to have to go through that again. As long as you keep going Mgtow, as long as you stick in the Mgtow mindset, you keep yourself focused and on the straight path, you're going to be just fine. But everybody else that wants to act like a little fairy running around, like they're like nothing ever can happen to them, and then thinking that this feminism garbage is going to help them in the long run, we all know it's not. And so if that's going to be the destruction of them because of what they've decided to believe. And so that's all I had to say today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hello, gentlemen. I hope everybody is doing well as always. Hope everybody's had a good weekend. And today I wanted to talk about a couple things. Number one is going to be laser focus. Staying focused on what men going their own way, and all of us as men, what we're going our own way. Staying focused on why we're doing what we're doing, and not getting distracted by all the terminologies that are being used, and what other content producers say about what we're doing. We need to stay focused on why we're going our own way. What brought us here to begin with? And what brought us here was the influence of the destructive nature of the feminist agenda. And what the feminist agenda has done to us as men, and what it has done to the society. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is why I think the biggest way that we can have an impact is, at this point in time, celibacy. So let's start with that first. Let's start with why I think celibacy is a way that we can really step it up a notch. The first thing is that women, their main weapon that they have is sex. And the main weapon, I guess you could say it has been weaponized, but regardless, what they have, the reason why men do all the things that they do for women, they buy them clothes, they buy them purses, and they go through these great lengths, and it's all because of one thing, and it's because they want to fuck them. That's it. It's all women are good for. Okay, because they're terrible and productive in business, they're terrible finances. Okay, we can't send them off to war because they're not built for that. And you can make a whole laundry list of why women can't do the things that men can do, and this whole notion of what they've pushed upon us in the society today. But women, the main thing that they have going for them is their physical beauty and sex. That's it. Everything else is fake. Okay? Their hair is fake, their makeup is fake, the clothes they wear, it's fake, their personalities are fake, their belief systems and what they are been brainwashed to believe, it's all fake. So all they have going for them is sex and their beauty. So celibacy is attacking the objective head on. It is tackling the main reason why women and why men are doing the things that they're doing for women is because of sex. When we no longer participate in the interest of wanting to fuck any of these women, then the main thing that they have to use against us is no longer valid. It doesn't work, because in order for it to work, we have to want it. We have to want it. And if we don't want it, then they can't use it against us. Like I've said in a couple of my videos, you have to learn how to adapt, adjust, and overcome. There are many different alternatives for men to fulfill their sexual needs. You got sex toys, you got the whole thing with sex robots coming into play. You got porn if that's your thing. And some people argue to say, well, all of those things are basically harmful to men because they create impotence and that it's so much stimulus that a real woman couldn't satisfy that. And to them I say, what other option do you have? At this point in time, what other options do we have? Because, number one, if you go get a prostitute, number one, it's illegal in most states. So you risk getting thrown in jail for something. You risk getting thrown in jail for pussy, which is more control over you as a man, because now they're using the law against you because you wanted to have sex. And also, these women carry a lot of diseases. They're disgusting. Who knows how many guys they fuck? It's disgusting. And you're putting yourself at more harm by allowing sex to overrule your life. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a natural, biological function that us as men, we all have. But because of the feminist agenda, because of all of the corners that they have pushed us in, we're losing options here. We don't have very many options left. And I think that's why I said celibacy is attacking the objective head on. That's all women have, is their sex and their beauty. When we show no interest and we can find alternatives to fulfill our needs, then the weapon that they're using against us no longer works. We have to take these things into consideration. There are plenty alternatives out there for us to get our rocks off if we need to. Women aren't the only thing anymore left. They're not the only option that we have at our table. Adapt, adjust, overcome. We must take these things into consideration. I mean, if you just think about it for a minute. If the only thing they have is their physical beauty and their sex, and men simply say, you know what, we're just going to go a different way and we're going to find other ways to fulfill those needs. That really puts a dent in this feminist agenda garbage that they're pushing on us, because we're not participating in it anymore. You see, this is a very interesting thing, the women and their sexual value, why men do what they do for women. It's very interesting, because in order for that to work, we have to participate in it. We have to want to have sex with women in order for them to use sex as a leveraging tool, as a manipulation tool. I mean, all these beta guys out here and all the guys that are simping and all this stuff, they're doing it because they want to have sex with women. And you see the extent that having sex with women has in controlling men. You see the extent that men will go to get a little bit of pussy. And I'm here to say, you know what, shut it all down. If you really want to take the leap, stop having sex with women. No more. I'm sure a lot of Mgtow guys have heard about this, heard about why we don't need to participate in engaging with women sexually, for a various of reasons, and the reasons I've listed above. And it's a very valid stance I think we should take. I wouldn't make this stance if the only alternative we had for men to get their rocks off was to say that, women are the only thing we got, because that's just not true. We got virtual reality, sex dolls, the whole sex robotics thing going on, sex toys, porn, whatever. The whole point is there's alternatives. And so, to sum that up, I just wanted to say that I think we need to take a different stance on approaching this, because we're running out of options. The feminist agenda is creeping up on us by the day, and because of the recent presidential election, it has set them back a little bit, because we all know that Hillary Clinton was absolutely going to be the poster child for the feminists and the women today to use her as a way to gain our resources as men by using the law. That's what she emulated to the T. But that doesn't mean just because she didn't get elected that the feminist agenda is over. It isn't over. It is not over. We still have laws in place, especially in California and other states, where we have this whole rape, sexual agreement dynamic that's going on, where in our social environment, you cannot approach women, you cannot catcall them, okay? And in many cases now, They have to be the ones to grant you the permission to even talk to them anymore. I don't see the feminist agenda being over at all. It's still going to happen, and it's not going to stop, which is why we have to take a different approach. When you cut off the only thing they've got, which is sex and their beauty, when you find alternatives, that's why the whole sex robotic thing is such a big deal, because it provides you an alternative aside from what women can offer you. That dramatically puts a dent in their armor that is irreversible damage, because that's all they've got. That's how they manipulate us as men, is with their vaginas. What happens when we say, you know what, fuck you. We're not going to allow that to be our manipulator. We're not going to allow that to be our weapon of our own demise. So that's why I wanted to say about that, to sum that up, is that I think that we should seriously take a look at this. And I think all guys can do it. We can do it. There's alternatives. We can make it happen. It's just a matter of discipline and adapting, adjusting, and overcoming. The second thing I wanted to talk about today is laser focus. I said in the beginning of the video, we don't need to be distracted. We need to stay focused on why we went our own way. Why is the reason? What are we doing here? We're all men here, and we're all in the same position. Do not let what some content providers say or what other people say to you distract you or throw you off from the reason why you're going your own way as a man. And it has to do with the feminist agenda, mainly. Some guys want to do it because they just enjoy it. That's fine. But the main reason I think 90% of the guys went Mgtow is because of the feminist agenda that is implemented and has taken roots in the minds of women in our society, in our culture, in the world, in the United States today. We have to remain focused on why we're doing what we're doing. We're all in it together. We're all in the same boat here. This is a war. It's a war for our minds. It's a war for our resources. It's a war for the future. We're in a war. We have to realize that we're in a war. I've taken the last couple weeks now to just kind of meditate and relax and just take it easy on myself, because I feel exhausted. You know, learning about this stuff is exhausting. Staying on top of all of it, watching all the videos, learning about new developments, it's exhausting. And sometimes you gotta take a break, because, you know, when they send soldiers into battle, they don't send them in there without a backup plan where another platoon to come in and replace them, because they got to get out of there and they got to take a break. They got to restock, because they know that fatigue affects performance. When you're exposed to that kind of trauma, at least in a war zone, it's traumatizing. It's absolutely exhausting. The same thing applies when you're dealing with a war for the mind, a psychological warfare. It's exhausting, because it all has to do with how you think, how your mind works, your opinions that you have about how things work. You know, we have all this social justice warrior garbage that has come out because Donald Trump got elected, and people just don't know how to deal with it, because these people are so brainwashed and stupid and Marxist and communist in their behavior. They're trying to wage a war, a psychological war, a physical war, and many other wars, for how we see the process. That when somebody gets elected, they get elected and that's it. And that they don't get to have a second chance. They're trying to change the perspective of how history has worked by implementing the psychological warfare of what these social justice warriors, these protesters, and these feminists are trying to do. And it's an exhausting war. I'm exhausted. You know, I've kept up with since the day of the election, I've been keeping up very closely with what is going on around us in our social environment, because these people will do whatever they can to get their way. And you have to stay on top of it if you want to avoid getting run over by this garbage. And it's exhausting. And so I'm here to say that, you know what, guys, it's okay if you got to take a break. There's nothing wrong with that. But stay focused. If you're still easily affected by what happens in the Matrix, if you're easily distracted by seeing a beautiful woman, and you're willing to completely change why you want your own way just because it's a beautiful woman, or somehow the opportunity came into play for you to possibly fuck that beautiful woman, if you're easily that distracted, then you got to change, you got to get yourself back in the game. You see, there's more to this whole thing regarding sex and fucking, women wanting to fuck men. There's much more to it than that. Let's leave all of the bullshit aside. Whether or not you look good or you don't look good, or you got muscles, you're an alpha male, or you know how to speak a certain way, or you're confident, forget about all that. Because the true reason why these women are manipulating men with sex and why they want to fuck certain men and others is because they're trying to gain all the resources that we have by using the law against us. Don't take it personal. This isn't a personal thing about why certain women want to fuck you and others don't. Forget about it. Don't take this personally. This is a war. There's one objective, and that's for them to win. And yes, it does affect you personally, but do not let it affect you personally, because that's how they get you. They manipulated you. They manipulated you by using your emotions and chasing you around by like a little tail, because you're, some of them are fucking some other people and you're not getting laid, so that way, you're affected emotionally by it, or whatever the case may be. Don't take this personally. Everybody's being affected by this. It really has nothing to do with any of this social dynamics about saying, well, that person's an alpha male and this person's a beta male and this person's this and this person's that, and looks. Right now, that doesn't matter. That's old news. Their true intention of why they're doing what they're doing is to gather all our resources, and by doing that with socialism and implementing that by using the law against us. And that's why I take the stand of saying celibacy is at least in this point in time, for me personally. I mean, I have no problem, finding other alternatives to fulfill those needs that I have. There's nothing wrong with that, and I have no issues with that, because there's plenty of alternatives out there. And I'm just here to say that to you guys, that there's alternatives out there. Women are not the only thing that we can have to get our rocks off. There's plenty of other things that we can do. But if you're still participating in that dynamic with these women today that expect all these different things out of men, and make you jump through so many hurdles, you gotta take them out to dinner, then you gotta fucking kiss their ass the whole time, and then they're just subject to their whims. We can't afford that anymore, because it's destroying our rights as men. This is no longer just about just getting laid. This is about our rights, and they're taking it away from us. And we have to realize what that is, and what they're doing, and how they're doing it. And I think one of the biggest weapons we can use back at them is to deny them sex. And deny them sex permanently until they get their fucking act together. How I see that going, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But you gotta make an action. You can't just sit back. Deny them sex. And let's see what happens. Let's see how they like it. It's the biggest weapon they're using against us. I can't mention that enough. It's all they've got. Once they take away their wigs and their makeup and their beauty, their clothes, their nails, their hair, everything, you shed them naked. They have nothing. They have no personality. They have no ability to put in any effort or do the kind of things men do, because men are not women. Period. So think about it, guys. Wanted your opinions on this. Really would like your guys' thoughts on this. And I appreciate everybody for commenting. I'm trying to get back with as many comments as I can. I can't answer everybody. I'm getting a lot of comments. But if I read something I find really interesting, I absolutely will respond. But anyways, thanks guys for listening. Appreciate everybody for subscribing to my channel and giving me the feedback. I really appreciate what your guys' thoughts are and everything, and really would like your thoughts on this, what you think the battle strategy is. You think this is a good strategy? If not, tell me why. Hope everybody has a good one.